So what's up, guys? I know you thought you'd never see another Genesis video uploaded, but I owe it to you guys to get the last few clips I had in my GoPro. It was 72 of them, I believe, and I'm just gonna put this out there now. Out of those 72, I probably used maybe 30 clips to put this video together. But it just wasn't up to my standard. It's old footage about 6, 7 months ago. I didn't sound confident in some of them. I know damn sure I am. It's just none of it was up to my standard, and that's probably why I never uploaded it. But like I said, I owe it to you guys to show you how easy everything is. For example, right now I'm just dropping the engine in. I did put the oil pump and the LS2 timing chain damper on, and then drop it in there. Now, I have the base of the mounts installed in the subframe, and I guess the main part of the mounts on the block. And I just dropped it in one side, pushed the bolt through, lowered the hoist, put it on the other side, pushed the bolt through. Easy peasy, simple stuff. Like I said, super easy. I just want to show you guys the work involved, from putting the cam in the engine, lifters, yada yada, getting the slave cylinder put together, and so on the T56 into the block, and show you guys that LS, why it's so popular, why it's so powerful, why it's so simple, why it's so beloved. So like I said, I owed you guys that much. Hopefully you guys enjoy the video, enjoy all the clips, and just keep hitting me up about any questions you have. I'm more than happy to answer them. But like I said, I'm all in on the WS6, and I'll probably grab a RB26 and do another import. But for now, you guys enjoy this video. Rest in peace to the Genesis. Actually, it lives on locally. But as far as me doing the work, it's over. But yeah, I did sell it locally. And the guy, I haven't talked to him in quite some time, but I can hit him up, and hopefully he's down to do another video to close it out whenever he gets it started or whatever, to share his experience and everything. And also, sorry about the garage. It's filthy, but I had 4 engines in there. That LP4 right there. There's a L92 in the back, an LM7 on the ground, and the LS2 in the car. So it's just an organized mess.
So for this part, you're gonna need some assembly lube, some gloves, and the cam. I got all this stuff over here to install, and then I gotta clean these. So I'm just break it up into parts. I'm gonna put the engine together, and then I'm gonna take a razor, clean up all the deck, so we can get the heads thrown on. All right, so now that we got gloves, I am using a GM LS cam straight from the dealership. I think it was like 115 bucks or something. I'm finished with all the big cams and all that bullshit. I just like stock feeling, stock shifting, stop cruising. I don't want it to stink at idle, even though I don't use cats. These things are real tame. Great for boosts and cheap. So here you go. Brand new LS9 cam out of I believe 09 ZR1. So, all right, what we're gonna want to do is slag this bad boy with assembly lube. Lube it up real good. Then when you think you had enough, do another coat. This is just to keep your lifters and push rods and all that shit, and fucking cam lobes from getting all ate up when you fire it up the first time. So it's not starved of oil. There you go. And I just like to put some on the back end because as you're pushing it in, I'm sure some of that shit's coming off, as you can see. So now the trick I always like to do is just spin as you go. Don't force anything. You're gonna knock out one of the damn one of your cam bearings. You can knock that shit loose. Nothing should be hard. Nothing should be pushing against you. And what I failed to do, there we go. On one last load. But what I usually do is put bolts in here. So when you get to the end, you still have stuff to spin and maneuver. So I'm gonna have to pause and do that and get that bad boy in. So, cam retainer plate goes right there. If you buy one new, or some reuse them, you can reuse them if the gasket's not flattened. But you're gonna have to put some kind of Loctite on it, blue Loctite, because they come with thread locker on them.
Now, I always recommend you get the countersunk version because it centers the retainer plate where it needs to be.
Now there's a difference between Gen 3, Gen 4. Some don't have countersunk bolts, and it's just countersunk. Some are just regular bolts. So make sure you get the right ones. All right, so you need a T40. It's a T40. Just go ahead and get these started because they need to be torqued down to 18 foot-pounds. And then you can put your cam sprocket on. $18 foot-pounds.
Alright guys, so here you can see I just skipped straight to having a cam sprocket and a timing chain installed, right? Now remember in the beginning of the video I said some of the footage is janky, I wasn't comfortable with it, I'm not going to use it. This is one of those times. What I did though was I snaked the timing chain over the cam sprocket and made sure the locator dowel on the cam itself was in position to the hole on the cam sprocket, all while lining it up with the dot on the cam sprocket to the dot on the crankshaft gear. So this doesn't make sense probably to most of you guys, but pretty much you have to line it up dot to dot. The dot on the cam sprocket points down, the dot on the cam gear, on the crankshaft gear points upwards. And what I did in the video as well is rotate it a full revelation to make sure the dots lined up still, and they did. So
now I don't know how well you guys can see this, but you see how it's smooth? I don't know if you guys can really tell, but it's smooth here where most of the gasket material was scrubbed off. I mean, some of it's stained, some I need to go over again, but just look at this area. And then look, all this gasket material, right? You gotta take a razor, hit at an angle, and look, it's gonna come right off. You see that? Comes right off. So, like I said, just a razor at an angle, You don't want to nick the block at all, just glide it over. All this crap comes right off. So I'm gonna knock this whole side out and then come back to you guys, show you the difference of each side. All right, so now that everything's razored off and smooth, I don't know if you guys can tell the difference from last time, but you are gonna have some stains. Just take some carb cleaner or you know, something like that and spray it on a rag, wipe everything down. But you can feel how smooth it is. That's what you want, because you know the gasket material, you're gonna feel it. You're gonna feel it. So make sure you razor off everything. You know, so your gasket gets a good seal. You're not having no problems, especially if you're gonna be boosted like I am. And then after that, I suggest y'all either cut the OEM. Some people like to grind away the OEM head bolts into these pockets, but I just went ahead and get the ARP. I can't even read this. It's a clean out. It's a thread chaser. It's just, you know, you get it in there all the way down. You may need some persuasion. I had to use a tool to get it all the way down. Just make sure when you bottom out, you don't go any further. Just back up. And you'll see dust and dirt be collected between these. So just go ahead and knock that out for, you know, the rest of them, and you know, we'll move on. So next, you know, you got your lifters. And I'm not one to soak them in oil, but these, I've had these LS7s for a while, but people soak them in oil and then they say, you know, they pump them up or whatever reasons they give. When you turn your engine off, all the oil in there drains out anyway. You know, everything drains back to the pan, and there's residual in there. That's the same way I feel. I don't understand people. You know, I don't know. People have their methods, I guess. But I just like to dab them up in assembly lube. Get the trays. Always use new trays. So look, it sticks. And this is how I do it. Especially if your build's not gonna be started for a while, then I get it all lubed up. So again, like people they like to soak them in oil and all that. I don't believe in it because, you know, when you turn your car off, where does the oil go? All the oil from the top end, whatever, it slowly drains its way down to the pan. So I'm not one to soak them. It's just not me. I understand everybody has their methods. Everybody has their quirks and, you know, a certain way they do things. This is one part I just never understood. So. And then boom. Slide right in there. And just repeat this. I mean, it's gonna be a bloody affair for me, but just boom, knock out the rest. Now that you got your lifter trays in, go ahead and get your bolts started. And the torque specs on these is 106 inch-pounds, not foot-pounds, okay? 106 inch-pounds. Now, I don't have an inch-pounds, you know, measurement tool, so I'm just gonna give it one little ugga-dugga. Just get it snug. You don't wanna go too tight on these because you'll probably strip the fucking block. There you go. Just good hand tight. Boom. So now we got everything in. You got your lifters in. You got your trays in. You got your. All right. So LS9 gasket, of course. We're dealing with boost. Let's see if I can get this bad boy open. So these are super thick, multi-layer. You know, a fan favorite amongst LS crowds. Super simple front of the car. I mean, you can't mess that up. Now, they're pretty straightforward to put on. It says front right there, boom, super easy. And make sure your dowel pins are in your block, because if you put your heads on without dowel pins, you could have a leaking head gasket or blown head gasket almost immediately, because your head isn't going to be aligned properly. These are here for a reason. Plus, I mean, you put the gasket on, much easier that way. So, and also, usually I do clean the pistons, but these are pretty clean. I mean, it's going to look like this again when I pull this engine apart, or, you know, I swap it out with that one. But they're pretty clean, and you know, I'll just take a wire bristle brush or a wire brush and agitate them with carb cleaner or something, and they come right off. But I didn't really feel the need, not caked up like a really old motor, so, you know. And these I'm not gonna cinch down too much, because as you can see, I gotta remove some broken studs. But I'm just gonna get these on. And hold on, guys. Now you just want to find the dowel pins. Boom, boom. And there you go. Everything's seated. Now here we have your slave cylinder. And I mean, you could use GM's brand, it's like 180 bucks, or you can use Luck. It's about 50 bucks, 60 bucks, depending on where you get it from. Whichever one you go with, do not use a slave cylinder without this stamp, this AE stamp, or AP, whatever it is. I believe it's AP. I believe you look at it this way, and it's AP. But this means it was made in the factory in Mexico. I believe it's Mexico, where, you know, Luck makes them and AC Delco makes them. So if you don't see this stamp, it's you got some kind of Chinese stuff, and you do not want this to have to pop on you on the middle of the highway or some stupid shit and take it right back out. You want this to last, you know, a pretty long time until you have to change your clutch. I've never had a problem with these throughout various power levels, so I recommend you use these things. But you cannot use it as presently constructed. What I have is an ISR line. I believe it's an auto to manual clutch line. It's a little too long, but I can make it work. I can tuck it away nice and neat. And then a speed bleeder. I just put this one together, just got the proper fittings, and a little 4N line. And this is gonna replace this bleeder, and I'm gonna affix it to the T56. So anytime, you know, I need to get it bled, I just lift the car up and it's just quick. Crack it open, have somebody hit the clutch, close it, you know, yada yada, instead of it being way up in the transmission. So these two lines, I suggest you do. Usually I make this line longer up in the cabin, but I still have to have somebody bleed it for me, so I just use a shorter line instead of having an eyesore in the cabin. So you can just unthread this one out. You're gonna have to take a pin here or a punch and knock this out for this to come out. So I'm gonna go ahead and knock that out, and then I'm gonna come back to you guys, show you the finished product. I got this pin knocked out. If you have a punch, stick it in there, hit it with a hammer a couple times. If you're like me and you only buy tools when you absolutely need them, What I did is I used the impact, my impact set over here. What size is this? 1/16. You know, and boom, knocked it right out. See, fits right in there like nothing. And it's an impact bit, so you don't have to worry about breaking it. But yep, you get this pin out, and from there you just pull this guy out. See, pull this guy out, and then go ahead and install this one. And let me show you guys this comparison. See, same shit. But let me take some of the grease off of this. Put it on this guy. I know I don't really need to, but all right. So there we go. Pop them in there. And then boom, we gotta knock that back in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that off camera, and then the other guy, just straight up unscrew him. Same thing. Boom. Screw this guy right in. There you go. So I'm gonna get this punched in, get the trans pulled over, then I'll see you guys in a second. All right, so I went ahead and got everything put together. This is your bleeder. I'm just gonna zip tie that bad boy here. But before I drop everything in the car, I'm gonna just tape everything up so it's not dangling. One of the things you wanna look for, it's kind of hard to really test a transmission once it's out if you're buying one. But just check for the play. I mean, side to side, up and down. If it's excessive, like this one's good. If it's going, a lot, then something's probably fucked up in there. Just spin it, everything's smooth. If you have the shifter, obviously you can shift and everything, but that really is not gonna tell you if the synchros are bad, et cetera, et cetera. But the input shaft, just make sure that's good. So I went ahead and cleaned this down. I installed the adapter you're gonna need already. I just went ahead and did all that here. So when I drop it in the car, it just goes in easy peasy. So right now I gotta pull this out, change the crank seal, install the LS7 clutch and everything, and I think I have an LS2 flywheel, and go from there. So hold on guys, let me go ahead and pull this. I got the LS2 pulled, and I got all the ARP hardware. Here's the pressure plate bolts, and here's the flywheel bolts. Now, I have a used LS2 flywheel, and then I have an LS7 clutch I'm gonna use. I have a McLeod flywheel and clutch setup over there, but it's for 900 foot-pounds. I think that's gonna be a little bit too much for me. So I'm just gonna throw this LS7 in and see if it works, because it was only like 230 bucks. Cheap enough for me not to like it and take it out, and I guess if that makes sense. So now with the flywheel bolts, what you're gonna wanna do is put ARP lube under the head, under the, I guess the head, and then Loctite. It says 242, I think I have 243, but I'm using blue Loctite. I'm not using red Loctite on something I gotta take off again. So that's just me. I'm gonna line this bad boy up. And I'm gonna try to do this with it on the floor, but it was at an angle because of the pan. So I can only do this up in the air. All right, so there we go. That's all we have to get it. And you can see I already put the pilot bearing in there. Got the flywheel locking tool on. There we go. Drop it on the floor. Let's see if we can get 85 foot-pounds. There we go, that's one. Crisscross star pattern. Two. Three. You guys get the picture. I'll be right back. And your, I believe 26 spline. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but you need one of these for the T56, the alignment tool. I mean, it's not impossible to do without it, but this makes it so much fucking easier. Just slip that bad boy on. And then I'm just gonna slap my my clutch over top of it. So I got two bolts just started where the dowel pins are, so you can locate it. I'm gonna get low. I'm gonna make sure this is even. This I don't know, locator, alignment tool, whatever you want to call it. Now the instructions just say, you know, it gives you the torque for the size. Now LS7 pressure plate bolts are M10, so that's 50 foot-pounds. So I'm gonna just put some blue Loctite on the threads, get them started, each one, come up behind with my impact wrench and just pop them with like 20 foot-pounds on each one in a star pattern, and then come back with the 50 foot-pounds in a star pattern and do it like that. So I'm gonna start that, and then we're gonna get the bell housing on and then the tranny in. So I got it all torqued down, and what I'm decided to do is just lift the engine up ever so slightly, kind of, you know, just hold it between my legs and slide it up and get a bolt started, so everything will just, you know, fit flush and nice. And you're just gonna drag this over here, pull it up, slap it in. Obviously it's gonna be way easier said than done. I'm just get a little grease. Get on the throwout bearing on the input shaft. I almost said LeBron, guys. Don't expect me to say Kobe. I ain't gonna be fake. All right. Working out here comes in handy. Now I'm gonna take this off. I'm gonna fight with this for a little bit. I'll be right back, guys. Stop the film because right after I took it off, it just cooperated. It came right in. So,
all right. So here I'm locating. There's a dowel on each side, so I'm making sure those are in the right place, and then I'm gonna slide it in first.
There we go. All right, you're gonna get to a point where it won't want to go anymore, and that is because your throwout bearing, the spring in it is pushing it against. So what I always do is get a couple bolts, the bolts that are supposed to be used anyway, and get them started and just slowly pull the trans in. And you see the dowel pins there. Make sure those are aligned before you just start tugging on these and break something. But I'm gonna let you guys go. I'm gonna get these cinched down and I'm gonna bring you back for the method I use to pull it in. So just give me a second. All right, so like I was saying, I just got a couple of them started and boom, you see everything starting to move. You know what I'm saying? So this problem is even more prevalent, you know, of the trans not wanting to go in. If you have this off, it'll be a little tougher in my experience. So I always just put the belt housing on first and then do what I need to do, you know. Now, like I said, it's LS, man. There's more than one way to skin a cat. This is how I do mine. I just have it on one, so it's not putting any much pressure on it. Really, I'm not trying to strip nothing out. There we go, look at that. Now, there is one more on the bottom, so I'm gonna get to that when it's up in the air, but for now, I'm gonna grab the torque wrench and get these torqued down, all right? All right, so I got my torque wrench set to 35 foot-pounds. I'm just gonna cinch this down real quick. Boom. Now, I don't know if there's a pattern to this, but I just alternate sides. That's how I always done it. And like I said, there's another bolt on the bottom side, but I'm gonna get to that once everything's in the air. All right, there we are. So let me go ahead and get this lifted up.